Tēnā koutou katoa. Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of the University Council, university staff, family and friends, and graduates. Firstly, my deepest thanks to Victoria University for the award of this degree, which I am greatly honoured to receive. Congratulations, graduates, and let me thank on your behalf all of those who helped you complete this journey. So what's next? Two thoughts I'd like to share with you. One has to do with how long it might take you to achieve the next milestone in your careers. And the second has to do with the role graduates like you can play in the life of cities. So let me start with the first issue. How long is it going to take before you make it? We tend to think that success always comes early for gifted people, and that if it doesn't, we've somehow failed. When we think of early successes, we think of people like Mozart or Picasso or Mark Zuckerberg, and we assume that geniuses and prodigies are one and the same. But as Malcolm Gladwell has reminded us, there is no correlation between age and peak creativity. True, some people do their best work early on in their careers, but many others are late bloomers. In the latter category, one thinks of fashion designer Vivienne Westwood, who was past 30 before she really got started. Paul Cézanne had his first one-man show at the age of 56. Jane Austen didn't publish her first novel until she was 35. And Clint Eastwood directed his first film at 41. So I guess the message is, don't worry if you haven't made it by 30. The best may be yet to come. Apparently, one of the differences between prodigies and late bloomers is in their creative approach. Prodigies tend to be conceptual people, meaning that they start with a clear idea of where they want to go, and then they execute it. On the other hand, late bloomers tend to be more experimental. They don't have such precise goals early on and keep pushing themselves because they don't feel they have succeeded. And Gladwell says that on the road to great achievement, the late bloomer will resemble a failure. Prodigies are easy. They advertise their genius early on, while late bloomers require forbearance and blind faith. And the other thing to remember about late bloomers is that many people don't really find what they're good at till later in life. So while there are doubtless plenty of prodigies among you this evening, there will also be many of you who will bloom later on in your careers. It's finding out what you're really passionate about and what you're good at that can be most rewarding. And this is what sometimes prompts people to make a career change when it might appear they've already achieved all the success they need. Like my friend Steve, who's given up a very successful career in publishing to become a photographer. Or William, who spent 6 years studying to become a doctor because all the men in his family had successful medical careers. But having worked as a doctor for 4 years, he's now decided he wants to be an airline pilot. He simply isn't passionate about medicine. So finding something you're truly passionate about may take some time. The other thought I want to share with you has to do with the kind of impact you'll have on the places where you choose to live and work in the next few years. These are most likely going to be cities, urban environments with a life and culture of their own, places that reflect the kinds of people who live and work in them, and that can provide the stimulus to nurture and develop your individual talents. The scholar Richard Florida has done much to help us understand how people with different skill sets contribute in different ways to the life and success of a city. He argues that the success of a city depends on the kind of people it attracts and the existence of a significant core that he calls the creative class. The creative class is made up of two groups of individuals. One group is the super creative core, a cluster of occupations that include scientists, architects, academics, musicians, and artists. The creative class includes another smaller group made up of managers, lawyers, accountants, and so on. And in successful cities, these two groups make up about 30% of the labor force. And Florida makes a connection between the size of the creative class and prosperity. The presence of a creative class generates an atmosphere of cultural richness and innovation that attracts more obviously productive types who will pick places they find exciting and attractive. Florida also argues that the more gay-friendly a city is, the better it will do economically. Cities that are open, diverse, and culturally creative go on to become successful in other ways. Singapore and Hong Kong, both cities in which I have lived, are both good examples of how, in order to prosper, they've had to become more energetic culturally. they've also had to become more gay-friendly to provide an environment that encourages the kind of people they depend on to support their growth. So even small towns can become interesting places to live and work in, providing they succeed in attracting a core creative class. Yes, even towns like Dannevirke or Gisborne, or possibly even Auckland. So good luck to all of you, the prodigies, the late bloomers, the creative types, the friends of Dorothy. Noho ora mai, kia kaha, kia toha, kia mana manui.